Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, off the heels of another fantastic and spectacular iRacing special event, the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, the drivers of the Apex this Mazda Sunday Series head back. We're here in Nürburgring, Germany for round number 7. And we're at the Nürburgring GP circuit. Ladies and gentlemen, my name, Mac Nelson. I'll be your lone voice in the booth here tonight. I'm pushing all the buttons, and I'm calling all the shots. I feel unstoppable. You can't stop me. And I am here on behalf of Racer Nexus. We thank you for inviting us into your homes here on a lovely Sunday evening. Also, big shout out to TrackCams22. We'll get into that a little more later, but this nice overhead drone shot is brought to you by TrackCams22. That's TrackCams for Gourmets. They provide all the car and track cameras here tonight, but like I said, we'll get to that here in a bit. We are located, like I said, I kind of spoiled it just a tiny bit. We are in Nürburgring, Germany. The green hell, as a lot of people know, that is the Nordschleife. That is going to be the very, very big, what started as German country road, turned into a racetrack. That is going to be located to the north of this circuit. But we are at the GP section here without the chicanes, allegedly. It is a 3.198 mile track, 15 corners. Going to be here at the Nürburgring. As we start expanding things, we're on board here with Mark Sherman. We'll get into your schedule. We are in round number 7, like I said earlier. We are here at Germany at the Nürburgring. Next week, May the 5th, we go to the new track St. Petersburg, which just came to the iRacing official service this year. Then we go to Zandvoort, Sebring, Interlagos, and then ending it all. Oh, that sounds horrible. Ending the season with round number 12, June the 2nd, at Road Atlanta. Championship points are as follows. Brian Lemke is leading the Pro Division. Roman Bykov in P2 with 158 points. He's had a silent one this season, but hey, he's right there in the championship hunt. Jim Feliz, Joshua Soto, Ozzik Silu going to round out your top 5 there. Nick Velasco is going to be leading the way in the mid-pack Larrys, or the AM group. Dylan Foster going to be right behind him. 49 points down. And then 9 points down from him is going to be Matt Schlosser, the boss man, the commish of the special stage, which you can catch every Friday here on Racer Nexus. Harrison Mealy and Mark Sherman are going to round out the top 5 in that category. So with all things considered, drivers are lining up. It's time to go over your starting grid for heat race number 1 here tonight. It's going to be Jim Feliz on pole with Joshua Soto on the outside of him. Those two have had some incredible battles here over the weeks. Brian Lemke and Thomas Lathrop are going to make up row number 2 with Michael Brock and Nick Belasco. Making up row number 3, Roman Bykov, Gilly Greenhoe, Kevin Zhu, and Ozzik Silu. Going to round out your top 10 in P11 sits Joe Mayer with John Cooper in P12. Christopher Croto, Justin Back, Connor Menard, Michael Greta, the MAV Motorsports driver. He sits in P16. Kenton Bandy, Harrison Meadley, Mark Sherman, and Keegan Garrig are going to get you to P20. Mike Bond and Aaron Law are going to make up row number 11. Pat Wilson and Shane Stern making up row number 12. Gregorio Amarino Jr. in P25. Charles Wolf in P26. Stan Hammond's unlucky for him. He's going to start all the way back in P27 with Tony Wallace, another MAV Motorsport driver, in P28. Kurt Baszler in P29. Axel Marquez going to be in P30. And then if I'm not mistaken, I think we have a lone car. Actually, Axel Marquez has popped up twice. Okay, there we go. So it is going to be Axel Marquez, who is actually starting in P31. So with the grid out of the way, there's only one more thing to do, race fans, and that is go green. You can see him towards the back of the frame, coming around the final corner onto the long straight. That is going to house a lot of laps this weekend as part of the N24. We are green. Jim Feliz is going to lead us away for heat race number 1. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be twin 20-minute heats here. Round number 7, we do go to St. Pete next week. I'm sure we'll be touching on that in the post-race interviews. I'd love to know how the drivers feel about going to the new track next week. Meanwhile, Jim Feliz out to a fantastic start. Joshua Soto in the 07 going to be following close behind. It doesn't really get 2x2 until you get back to P7 and 8. That's going to be Ozzik Silu, who's passing P2 in the championship standings. Currently P8 on the track, Roman Bykov. Him and John Cooper are going to have a fair fight here on the opening lap. Every driver kind of trying to slide into position, slide where they think they can get before they settle down and really start analyzing this race. Going to be a little bit of a network problem for what I believe is a Bucky's Miata. Look at that. Yeah, it's going to be Justin Back. He is going to go wide in the not so hairpin, but kind of a hairpin. But I got to get a look at that car, man. Look at the Bucky's Miata, man. That is absolutely world class. Jen, the wife of Michael Brock, going to be in chat as always. We appreciate you guys for tuning in so loyally every single week. Michael Brock in that number 421 Miata, going to be sitting in P5, trying to make something work on the Sky Lounge 41 of Brian Lemke. Or I apologize. That is not a... Well, that was a... That was a little embarrassing. Not Sky Lounge 41. I do so dearly apologize. See, this is why we need Alex leading the way, man. I'm like a lost puppy out here without him, man. The Sundays, I'm here alone. And I've got no Alex Goldschmidt to just drop all the lore possible on me. I feel less educated by the second. Now here comes... Oh, no, yeah, that's Joe Mayer trying to battle with John Cooper. Now, John Cooper cannot get out of the blender. It seems he is in a constant battle with someone. as we get finished with our opening lap here, we're going to be making our way towards completing the second lap. Joe Mayer here with John Cooper. They are both in the Going Pro class, so this is going to be for position. Joe Mayer currently sits on the very edge of the top 10. He is going to sit in P10. A little bit of a bad break from the corner for Ozik Silu, who he is now being pressured by Roman Bykov. That's actually going to be Roman Bykov around down on the inside. So we're getting very technical here. We're getting very, very technical as we get started with this race. Of course, a lot of these drivers probably taking part in the 24 Hours of Nürburgring over the weekend. So everybody is probably very, very familiar with this track. That's going to be the Vans Miata going off in the turn number 10, I believe. It's going to be Christopher Croto. He is still battling with that Vans Miata. And now, look, they're three wide. Michael Tanagretto wants a little bit of something. No, I apologize. It's not going to be Michael Tanagretto, but they're going to be around anyway. Tony Wallace, Christopher Croto, Harrison Mealy have all had a big crash. Oh, no, we got to go take a look at it before anything else breaks out. Tony Wallace, he is the one who forced the issue, making it three wide down on the inside. And, I mean, to be fair, Tony's there. Tony is there, and the 305 of Christopher Croto kind of just ignored him. So that's going to be how that cookie crumbles. Now we see Mike Bond here. He's battling with both Stan Hammonds and Aaron Law. But Mike Bond being in the mid-pack Larry's division, this really isn't his fight. As well, they are going to get squirmy heading down into turn number 1. It's going to be hard on the brakes. You can see all the weight shifting towards the front of those Miatas every time they hit the brakes. And Jen says, this Friday at the Thompson Track Day, I'll be forcing Mike, Brian Lemke, and Nick Belasco to all take a picture together. Now that might possibly break the internet. That is a culmination of forces that, to be frank, are otherworldly. The amount of sim racing talent in that picture will be uncomprehendable, unfathomable. As the leaders, we get a look at Michael Tanagretto down on the outside, heading into the hairpin. The Tostino's Pizza Roll 243 of Kevin Zhu, the man from St. Kitts and Nevis. He's got the Totino's Pizza Rolls on the car, and oh man. Now, that is just vibes. That is just a very good atmosphere. You come home from school, your mom's got either Dr. Phil or Codename Kids Next Door on the television. You pop some pizza rolls in the microwave, maybe put some cheese sticks in the oven. Oh, man, life was good as a fourth grader. Meanwhile, more to the point, Ozik Silu in the number 9, 1-1 DeWalt. That's going to be an overtake on Kelly Greenhoe, who Kelly Greenhoe, unfortunately, in the 0-12. Monterey, California driver has not had too much luck so far in this season. I do believe he tiptoed into the top 10 in that pro category towards the beginning of the season. But if we take a look at your championship points, once again, in the top 10, Kelly Greenhoe is nowhere to be found. As I think, I apologize, I'm not entirely sure. And once again, that's why I say I want to make sure I'm saying this right when I say it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Nick Belasco might actually be a pro and not an AM. For some reason, I think that is in my mind somewhere stored in the backlog of information. So if I get confirmation on that, I will indeed change that. That is no problem to change that. So Nick Belasco is either... Well, no, because he's leading the AM category in points, so I take that back. Nick Belasco is not a pro. He is a mid-pack Larry. Back towards the race, Joshua Soto trying to work on the 84 of Thomas Lathrop here. The 07 versus the 84, and here at Nürburgring, this is a track, a lot of high-speed corners. That favors the 07 of Joshua Soto. His skill set, unfortunately, kind of tampers out in the mid-speed, but in those super low-speed and super high-speed corners, he is very, very good at controlling this Miata, getting the rotation when rotation might not want to be found. These cars are very tricky to wrestle around the circuit. There's a lot of free play, I guess, is a way to put it. There's a lot of body roll, a lot of weight transfer in the chassis of these Miatas. Or I guess in the car itself. And so things seem a lot worse than they really are when you're driving the car. When you drive, it feels like you're going to lose it at any moment, but not exactly how these cars handle. They're actually extremely agile. You kind of, if you get the car set right and your speed's right, you can really throw it into any corner you want. And Joshua Soto knows that all too well. You see Jim Feliz there in the number 59 trying to break the toe. Trying to make sure that Lathrop, Lemke, Brock, and the rest of the grid can contend and compete with Joshua Soto. All the while, Jim Feliz is going to cash that in and try to get out and away from this grid as much as possible. We're almost halfway through the first heat, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, twin 20-minute heats here. As Harrison Mealy is going to be battling for the bottom step on the podium here. That's Mark Sherman in the 301 that he's currently battling with. So Harrison Mealy in the 017 around turn number 5, I believe that was. Now down, it's going to be a medium speed left-hander here. Very tricky. If you're on the brakes and the steering input at the same time, you will twist that car around. Harrison Mealy now with a little bit of network issues. Hopefully that gets solved and sorted. Gregorio Amareno Jr., Axel Marquez, and Shane Stern did not even take the grid. So your last car in actual running is going to be Tony Wallace on the back of what happened to him earlier on in the race. And that is something you, without a doubt, hate to see. Meanwhile, more towards the front, Thomas Lathrop is starting to build a little bit of pace. He is going to run a faster lap than Jim Feliz. However, he does have the draft to his advantage. But that still does not deny the fact that Thomas Lathrop, and even Brian Lemke for that matter, are in extremely good positions here to maybe make something happen. 8.5 minutes. These guys are running 2 minutes 17 around their laps. So we should probably only have about 3 laps to go here in heat race number 1. And I mean, whew, it goes by so fast when you're at these long tracks. This is the exact same way I felt around Spa when those guys were running, you know, what, 2 minute 40-second laps, 2 minute 50-second laps, whatever they were running. It felt like the races just ended before they really even started, and that is happening here. Nick Belasco, although in the AM division, he is keeping up with all these drivers. In the Pro division, he has got an insanely large lead. Back to Mike Bond, who's going to be P2 in the amateur division. If we get a little bit of a wider cam here, you see he's going under the Goodyear banner bridge. That is going to be turns number 6 and 7. He is currently taking. Meanwhile, Nick Belasco already on the other side of the track, ready to take the final chicane. and get the lap over with. So Nick Belasco doing a fantastic job here. It's going to be about a 15-second gap from Nick Belasco to Mike Bond. That's going to be your mid-pack Larry's division. Now all the way down in P19, it is going to be P3. For the AM class, it is going to be Harrison Mealy, who has Mark Sherman just a tad bit south of 1 second behind him. Mark Sherman, unfortunately, not exactly finding the pace the way Harrison Mealy is. It's going to be about a second difference in their last lap. So Harrison Mealy ideally should be able to kind of run away, maybe catch up to Mike Bond. However, there are only less than 6.5 minutes to go as we see Jim Feliz and company crossing the start-finish line, starting lap number 7. They have completed 6 down into turn number 1. Hard on the brakes for Thomas Lathrop. He's trying to find an angle, but Jim Feliz parking his car right there on the apex, not letting anything go for free. Jim Feliz says, if you want to pass me, you're going to have to get it done the hard way around the outside. And that's exactly what these fine gentlemen in the Miatas are trying to do, but we see it every week, and as we progress into the season, we see it just a tiny bit more. These drivers are starting to learn where they can put their car to really be a nuisance to overtake. Jim Feliz, fantastic at doing just that. Roman Bykov, another driver who is fantastic at defending his position. Speaking of Roman Bykov, he is going to be battling with Michael Brock in the 421. Roman Bykov in the 013 Coors Light Miata. Nick Belasco 100% does not belong in the mid-pack Larry, says Jen. I mean, he has a 1,459 I rating. I apologize to kind of call Nick Belasco out there, which there's really no calling out. I am right there with him. But I agree. He is exceptionally fast. He is keeping up with 3K and 4K drivers right now. I know he does have a little bit of an advantage with the draft, with the tow, and now that we're 4.5 minutes out, he is starting to struggle just a tiny bit behind those drivers. But what a performance here in heat race number 1 for your mid-pack Larry's championship leader, Nick Belasco. Whoa, and that's going to be an off-track for Roman Bykov and Michael Brock. No harm, no foul. They're just getting a little bit of lawn care done here at the circuit. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not paying you double, though. We're paying you driver salary. You do not get greens care. That'd be a golf course. You do not get track care pay as well. So I just want to reiterate that to any driver that also thinks maybe given a little bit of a lawn cutting will get them paid, and no, it will not. Will only get you a 1 incident point on your record here in the apex of this Mazda Sunday Series. 3.5 minutes to go, so that basically means next lap is going to be the white flag lap. So 2 sticks up for Barney that time around. And I apologize if you can hear it, ladies and gentlemen. I do have a little bit of a stuffy nose. We are going through a little bit of that sickness, that seasonal sickness, you know. The weather has gone from extremely cold to extremely hot and then back to extremely cold, so my body has no idea how to handle that. You'd think after 27 years in the great state of Kentucky, my body would learn to live with the weather, acclimate maybe, but it indeed has not. Jim Feliz going to be a little wide in that hairpin there. Thomas Lathrop is going to take advantage of that. The 84 now strapped to the back bumper of the number 59. Thomas Lathrop in that number 84 Rising Edge Miata. Going to try to take down Jim Feliz, who is probably, when it all comes down to it, the most talented driver on the grid. I know that if we bring the championship points in, it is Brian Lemke leading the series. Jim Feliz is only in P3. However, I do think Jim Feliz just has everything. He has the ability to qualify well. We see it here. He started on pole. He has the ability to overtake. We see that countless number of times when he doesn't qualify on pole. And he's very good at defending his position. I mean, look, you've got 5 guys whose I rating totals about 20,000 when all's said and done. He has got that band of misfits locked in behind him. So Joshua Soto here going to be 3 wide for P2. That's going to be Brian Lemke, who dips out and backs out a little bit now down into actual turn number 1. It's going to be nice and clean through there for the 07 of Joshua Soto. White flag, I assume, was in the air. We'll see if we can get a look at Barney. Barney is unfortunately nowhere to be seen on the circuit. I guess he's maybe taking a sick day or something. But I'm pretty sure, ladies and gentlemen, that that was or will be or is white flag in the air. So drivers, you're going to notice on this lap, have a little bit of urgency. They want to get past, but unfortunately for us race fans and viewers at home, the pack has kind of spread out in this last lap. Jim Feliz has a solid lead over Joshua Soto and Thomas Lathrop. However, Thomas Lathrop is challenging for that P2. The 468 of Aaron Law has just been given a black flag. So that is not what you want to see if you are the 468 of Aaron Law. Kurt Baszler has now received a black flag in the number 396. But here we go through the left-right chicane. Joshua Soto taking it faster than Jim Feliz here. Down into the banked left-hander, what I believe is turn number 13. Jim Feliz is wide. Joshua Soto is rearing his head. It happened at Spa. It's going to happen here. Joshua Soto just deciding he wants to get past Jim Feliz and making it happen right then and there. On the last lap, too, I said this was a track that favored Joshua Soto's driving style. I cited what happened at Spa, and it seems we have that almost exact thing again. This time it's going to happen about halfway through the lap instead of in the final corner. Thomas Lathrop trying to get down on the inside. Joshua Soto, there's Roman Bykov, who has a little bit of a moment. He's going to drop a few positions. Joshua Soto is going to win. It's got to be a win, right? As the time is out. Yes, that is going to be it. Joshua Soto will take the win in heat race number 1. All of that confused me. The cars seem to be going at race speed. I didn't see any flags or anything. So Joshua Soto gets it done. Thomas Lathrop bringing it home in P2. Jim Feliz in P3. Brian Lemke, your championship leader, brings it home in P4. And Nick Belasco bringing it home in the top 5 overall. For the mid-pack Larrys, he is going to win, obviously. I mean, he got top 5 overall. Mike Bond is going to be P2 in the mid-pack Larrys. As we'll go ahead and show you those results. Joshua Soto, Thomas Lathrop, Jim Feliz, Brian Lemke, Michael Brock, Roman Bykov, John Cooper, Kelly Greenhoe, Joseph Marr, Ozek Silu make your top 10. For the mid-pack Larrys, it was Nick Belasco, Mike Bond, and Harrison Mealy, followed by Mark Sherman, Kenton Bandy, Patrick Wilson, Raul Rojas, Christopher Croto, and Kurt Baszler. Well, the drivers are going to have a little bit of a warm-up before we get into our second heat race of the night, which will also be 20 minutes. So we're going to step away for a little break real quick, go grab a snack, grab the bathroom if you need it. When we come back, it's going to be our second and final race here tonight at the Nürburgring for the Apex This Mazda Sunday Series here on Racer Nexus.
Maska can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on. Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it. They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Apex This Mazda Sunday Series here live on Racer Nexus. If you guys need any sort of sim racing gear, make sure you stop by Apex Sim Racing Shop. That's apexsimracing.com. Use code Racer Nexus for 5% off your order if you need a new wheel, wheelbase, pedals, audio, monitors, chassis. It does not matter. Apex Sim Racing will hook you up. You can build a bundle too through your favorite manufacturers like MAZDA, Fanatec, and SimMagic. So don't be afraid to go to apexsimracing.com. Use code RacerNexus. Get you a little bit of that cheddar change back for your efforts. Also, big shout out to TrackCams22. That's TrackCams for Gourmet. They provide all the car and track cameras you see here tonight and across all of the Racer Nexus broadcasts. Well, that is our good old housekeeping done. Time to get into your starting grid for heat race number 2, or the feature race, as some like to call it. We're gonna have to get through this one quick, folks. I apologize for that one. It's going to be Brian Lemke, Jim Feliz, Thomas Lathrop, Joshua Soto, Michael Brock, Nick Velasco, John Cooper, Roman Bykov, Kelly Greenhoe, and Joe Mayer. Michael Tanagretta, Ozzik Silu, Mike Bond, Kevin Zhu, Stan Hammonds, Charles Wolf, Harrison Mealy, Connor Menard, Justin Beck, and Mark Sherman. Keegan Gary, Kenton Bandy, Pat Wilson, Raul Rojas, Christopher Croto, Aaron Law, Kurt Baszler, Tony Wallace, Shane Stern, and Gregorio A. Moreno Jr. make up your starting grid here tonight. Green flag in the air. It's heat race number 2. It's live on Racer Nexus. It's the Apex This Mazda Sunday Series. Your top 4 are going to invert, so that's why the starting grid might look a little weird. It's not going to completely mimic the heat race number 1. There goes Lathrop down on the inside of Jim Feliz. Your championship leader, Brian Lemke, going to lead after turn number 2. Now coming down into turns number 3 and 4. There's Joshua Soto, your race winner. He wants to get into the action fast, and look at John Cooper, who's already up 3 spots. He sits just on the edge of the top 5 in the number 77 Sky Lounge Miata. These drivers are putting it all out there for everyone to see. Brian Lemke showing just why he is a championship leader. He didn't get the first. I'll be danged if he ain't gonna try to get the second. Jim Feli's going to be right behind him. He is maybe looking to make some sort of a pact, maybe, with Brian Lemke. Looked like a little bit of a bump draft there. Maybe he's just wanting to get out and away from everyone else before we get too far into heat race number 2. It's going to be the same story when it comes to the mid-pack Larrys. Nick Velasco is going to be very far out in front. Mike Bond and Harrison Mealy are once again going to be battling for P2. That's going to be a black flag for Charles Wolf. That's Harrison Mealy, speaking of the devil. In the number 017, he is going to be the guy that go wide, give the grass a little bit of a haircut. There's the Vans 305 of Christopher Croto. He is going to force the issue on the rejoin, make it 3 wide. That is going to be Tony Wallace out again. Oh no, Tony Wallace has to bring it back to the pit lane. We gotta go back and take a look at this. So we're in our blimp view here. Charles Wolf, he's gonna have a little bit of a moment. He is gonna go off. However, want to look at Tony Wallace here, and we're just gonna miss it. We're gonna have to back this up. We're gonna have to back that blimp all the way up, and it was just the rejoin there from the Vans 305 Miata. The rejoin was not safe. Tony Wallace, and I'm not entirely sure who that even was. That was Harrison Mealy. So Harrison Mealy, after going off just a few corners prior, he is going to be spun around, and that is going to more than likely be the race over for both those guys. So Mike Bond has a little bit of a cushion now in that P2 spot for the mid-pack Larrys. It's going to be a 4.5-second gap back to Christopher Croto and Kurt Baszler, who are going to be battling for the final step on that rostrum. Brian Lemke still going to be leading here as we take a look at your weather. As I know you guys see it, that sun is starting to set. So with that being said, temperature is going to be 70 degrees. It's going to be dropping very, very fast. Track is very warm at 32 degrees Celsius. But by the end of the race, it sure is going to be a lot cooler. Jen said, I've been drugging Jason up big time. I cannot figure out if it's allergy or cold because there's no fever. I'm telling you, when there's no fever, everything just goes... you just got to throw everything at the wall because, yeah, if there's no fever, there's really no way of knowing what it is. But I am so sorry to hear that. Hopefully Jason can get better here soon. That's going to be a black flag for Charles Wolf in the 00. As it has just not been his day. He's down 11 spots down into P27. Here is Brian Lemke, your championship leader, out in front by 0.2 of a second over the 84 of Thomas Lathrop. Behind him sits the 59 of Jim Feliz. Oh, and here comes Thomas Lathrop down on the inside of Brian Lemke. He's going to try to get something done down into turn number 1. The nose is there. Brian Lemke is going to have to go wide. He has to allow the room, but it is going to set him up for the inside of turns number 2 and 3. So no harm, no foul. Brian Lemke still going to lead this race. Here comes Joshua Soto, wanting to get a little bit of a peek around the outside of Jim Feliz. There's John Cooper still holding his spot in P5. John Cooper was in the mid-pack Larry's division last season, if I'm not mistaken. managed to move his way up into the pros. I think this is his first season as a pro. It could be second. But either way, John Cooper in the number 77. I remember the first race I called for Apex this. It was back at Virginia International. And man, oh man, he put on a show in that exact same 77 Sky Lounge Miata. He's got Roman Bykov behind him, who had a little bit of a misstep on the final corner of the final lap. It caused him to actually lose that P5 to Nick Belasco. So although he didn't lose a spot in class, he did lose a spot overall, and although at the end of the day it doesn't ultimately matter for the championship, I know it still probably stung a little bit for the 0-1-3 of Roman Bykov. Aaron Law is back into the fray after the mishap at the beginning of the race, but it is going to be Christopher Croto, who is a mid-pack Larry, so no real battling to be had there. Croto has had his fair share of incidents here in the 2 races here tonight. Hasn't been typically strong performance out of Christopher Croto, but there is still time to make things up. He is sitting on the podium in the mid-pack Larry division, so he does have that going for him. It is going to be a 5-second gap back to Kurt Baszler, who's also battling Mark Sherman. This is going to be for P4 in that mid-pack Larry division. Justin back in the number 6-7. Bucky's Miata, man. It does not get any more brain-rotted than that. The only thing you need, I don't even know, like maybe a Mr. Beast logo on there somewhere. That's the only way it can get more brain-rotted. 3 wide coming into turn number 2. It's going to be all the way in the back. P18, P19, P20. It is going to be a mixture of mid-pack Larrys and going pros. But more to the point, back towards the front, Brian Lemke still holding off Thomas Lathrop, followed by Jim Feliz and Joshua Soto. Joshua Soto, our winner here just a few moments ago, if you happen to miss it. It was a fantastic race, and it saw a last lap overtake for the victory. The man of the hour in focus now, Joshua Soto in the 07. And these guys are just going to be running your standard run-of-the-mill Sunday cruise race. Nobody really trying anything too hasty. Here we still have over half the race to go, 11.5 minutes to be exact. So drivers are going to have about 4 more laps, which doesn't seem like much, but when you realize these are 2-minute and 17-second lap times they're running, you start to realize that maybe the laps last a little longer than we think. There's Michael Brock in the 421. Pass for the lead. Thomas Lathrop is going to get around Brian Lemke, and I'm not entirely sure what happened because Brian Lemke now sits in P4. What has happened to Brian Lemke? Kenton Bandy, Patrick Wilson have had moments, but unfortunately, we've got to watch something a bit more severe than that. This is coming down the straight, and it's just going to be a good old draft show, leaving Brian Lemke high and dry. Is going to be Lathrop and Feliz, and then Joshua Soto off the dirty air that Brian Lemke had to experience through that chicane. It did allow Joshua Soto to get around, so in the span of 1 lap, our championship leader, Brian Lemke, has fell from grace, sat at the top. He now sits P4. And don't sleep on the Canadian John Cooper in the number 77 from Winnipeg. He has had a very, very good night here tonight. He is looking to maybe make that even a little better. Chen said, Michael, stop bringing shame to our family. I wouldn't go that crazy, Jen. I mean, he's running P6. He's got the Titans in front of him. He does have John Cooper ahead of him, and by no means do I mean to be disrespectful or have any malicious intent towards John Cooper right now, but Michael Brock shouldn't be behind John Cooper. I think that is something that kind of everyone, including John Cooper, probably knows. Now, however, John Cooper, in the number 77, probably over the moon at how he has raced so far, and he is no doubt not going to give up so easily. Michael Brock is going to have to work for that top 5. He's got to get around John Cooper to do it. Meanwhile, looking towards your front 4 of Feliz, Lathrop, Soto, and Lemke. It is going to be a very big paradigm shift from what we saw in race number 1. However, kind of the dependent variable that we all come to love and know. Jim Feliz at one point is going to be leading, but that's very wide through the final chicane for Jim Feliz. He's definitely not getting the lawn caresman pay for that one. Wow. He reached deep in the grass for that cut. That was... Whew. That man had no intention of making the corner. That I'm sure of. On the far left side of the track sits John Cooper. Brian Lemke is going to take that advice as well. Jim Feliz having to play defense down on the far right side. Joshua Soto going very wide. It's going to happen to the championship leader, Lemke, as well. Joshua Soto, even though he went wide, gets the momentum off the jump. He gets a lot more momentum than Thomas Lathrop. That's going to be an overtake on the 84. Joshua Soto now moves into P2, and now with 8 minutes left, now the parity has come back. Now things are starting to seem familiar. It's going to be Feliz and Soto in your top 2. So Feliz in the 59. He's going to try maybe a different strategy this time. Joshua Soto right behind him, looking to play his time wisely. Looking to make his move very, very confidently, but very, very methodically. Because as we know, Jim Feliz is not a hard car, or not an easy car, I should say. I apologize. Not an easy car to overtake. We just touched on it last race. Jim Feliz, very, very talented driver in all aspects of the craft. Qualifying, race, offensively, defensively, he is a weapon. And I know that gets tossed around in a bad correlation in the racing world, but he is a weapon in the best way possible. He is a Swiss Army knife out on the racetrack. He can do just about everything. Joshua Soto, though, in P2, he has shown that he can contest that. He can make Jim Feliz break. We saw it here tonight. We saw it at Spa. There's probably other times where we've seen it that I'm not thinking of. It happens pretty regularly here in the apex of this Mazda Sunday Series. Feliz and Soto going to blows. It feels like the Avengers versus Thanos at some tracks. Thomas Lathrop and Brian Lemke, unfortunately, have nothing else they can do besides just watch. As we head down into T1, Brian Lemke going to choose that far left outside line again. It allows him to get a little bit more momentum as he swings through. However, Thomas Lathrop unintentionally going to put himself in that space. Brian Lemke at risk of losing a spot to the 421 of Michael Brock. John Cooper right there. Michael Brock has gotten around John Cooper. We'll go back and take a look at that overtake if we can, if this action ever subsides. But unfortunately, I believe we might be full throttle all the way to the checkered flag, which is exactly how we love it here at Racer Nexus. I'm sure that's exactly how you guys like it at home. So if you don't mind, help us out, help the network. Hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. That helps us a ton, makes us show up for new and more people on a daily basis so we can build this community here. Also, make sure to leave a comment, get involved. You see Jen and you typically see Aaron Sunday's wife Rachel in here as well. Aaron Sunday not making it to the grid here tonight, therefore Rachel really has no reason to watch. Can't blame her there. If the man ain't competing, she ain't watching. Now that is a 10 toes down lady. if you ask me. Michael Brock in the 421. However, I was not done making my point. I was going to say, get involved. It's a good community here. Make sure you comment, get yourself known. Let me hear that voice. Even though it's not a voice, you're typing, but you guys know what I mean. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss content similar to this, and ring that bell so you never miss a show here on the network through the chicane. It's going to be 2 sticks in the air for old Barnold. Barnold the flag man. 2 sticks high, meaning 2 laps to go. We have 4 minutes left. So by the time they get around for this next lap, it will be time for the white flag. Joshua Soto prepping his move around the outside. They're going to stay side by side. Into the drone shot we go. Provided by Track Cams 22, Joshua Soto. It's not even in the same spot. He can get it done wherever. It does not matter. He gets around Jim Felice again. Just like clockwork from our first heat here tonight. Now the running order sits Soto, Felice, Lemke, and Lathrop. But don't sleep on this battle for P3, and don't sleep on John Cooper down on the inside of Michael Brock. He's going to turn him. John Cooper with a desperation lunge towards Michael Brock. Man, oh man, Stan Hammond is going to feel the pain from that as well. We got to go back and take a look. In the left-hander, you see Roman Bykov there had the move prepped. He backed out because, you know, he knew that wasn't happening. And now John Cooper is alongside, but Michael Brock is leaving the room, and John Cooper, unfortunately, kind of just slid into him. We'll take a look at it one more time here, maybe from a little bit better of an angle. A little bit of a side angle down here, and yeah, that's... Unfortunately, John Cooper, you can't have all that room. Especially when Michael Brock was giving you the room. So that is going to be Michael Brock's race kind of done and dusted. He sits in P9. Stan Hammond's Kevin Zhu going to be in front of him. Kevin Zhu actually coming into the pit lane here. Joshua Soto, Jim Felice, Brian Lemke, and Thomas Lathrop have crossed the line for their final lap here at the Nürburgring. Jim Felice down on the inside. He's not going to hit the brakes later. There's going to be contact between Soto and Felice, and through goes Lemke. He's going to take opportunity. That's what champions do. Your championship leader saw every opportunity in the world with Felice and Soto having another installment in their battle. He said, hey guys, I will just go right through here. And so Brian Lemke, who was leading and then lost 3 positions in 1 lap, has now made up 3 positions in 1 lap, and he sits in the lead. Black flag for the 123 of Mike Bond. Christopher Croteau and Mark Sherman are still battling. They have identical pace. They are battling for the bottom step on the mid-pack Larry's podium. Although Christopher Croteau is starting to pull out to a little bit of a lead. Back towards your front, Brian Lemke. Going to be going through the extremely large and high-speed chicane here. Joshua Soto is on his right side. It's going to be the outside for the left-hander coming up. Brian Lemke on the brakes later. Jim Felice is going to run into Soto. Oh, no. Jim Felice has just ran into Joshua Soto. That's going to be Joshua Soto all the way down in P6 in class, P7 overall. Nick Velasco is about to BS his way, and I mean that in the funniest and most positive way possible, but Nick Velasco is about to BS himself into another top 5, but there goes John Cooper around the outside through the final chicane. It's going to be the pass on Nick Velasco. Jim Feliz and Brian Lemke are side by side. It's a drag race to the line. Who's going to get it? I think Lemke got it. Lemke is going to win race number 2 here at the Nürburgring. It's going to be by 0.05 of a second. Back to Jim Feliz, Thomas Lathrop, Roman Bykov, John Cooper in the 77 Sky Lounge Miata has found his way into the top 5. Man, oh man, what an electric race there. We have to go back and see it. Here in the Racer Nexus blimp, you can hear the very, very soft roar, or I guess kind of the meow of the Miatas. We're not going to be able to see anything from there. We'll go to the Racer Nexus chopper. Brian Lemke had the angle around the outside, and he just picked up the momentum faster, and that's going to be across the line over Jim Feliz. So Feliz is going to finish P2 both nights, or both races, here at the Nürburgring. Man, oh man. And speaking of Mr. Brian Lemke, he is going to be the first driver into our broadcast booth here tonight. Brian Lemke, the driver of the 41 Miata, man. That looked so much fun.
Oh my God, that was a wild one. Man, the battling tonight was just crazy. Those guys were just really fast, and it was hard to pass. So even though the draft was strong, there wasn't a lot of passing opportunities. You're just kind of waiting, hoping for maybe like a little mistake. I was hoping that second race Thomas might push me a little bit longer, but him and Jim just absolutely left me out to hang. I think I went from first to fourth in like one chicane. That hurt a little. And then Jim and Soto kind of both went wide in turn 1 and gave me the lead back. So, you know, I guess the gods give, the gods take away sometimes. And luckily I was able to be in the right spot on that one and hang on for that last lap to take the win.
Yeah, I mean, that turn 1, I mean, that was your through goes Hamilton moment. I even said it, I think I said through goes Lemke. That's all I could think of at the time. But, man, what an incredible race. Race number 1 as well, even though you didn't get the win on that one. You did good, but heading to St. Petersburg, man, I gotta get your opinion. It's the new track. It came this season. What are you expecting when we head there?
Man, I just bought it yesterday. I did a little bit of practice there this morning. Luckily, Apex will be racing GT4s there, so I got a few days to practice. But I'm gone most of the week next week, so yeah, not gonna get a lot of practice in. I'm hoping at the end I can maybe do something good and at least just like clean races, get those bonus points. Maybe stay somewhere up towards the front. That's all you can do. Hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, that is all you can literally do. You hit the nail on the head with that one. But we're going to let you get out of here. I know you got to digest. You got to celebrate exactly what happened here tonight. I'm sure you're going to watch some things back. It was absolutely cinema from up here in the booth. But before we do, we're going to let you get all your shout-outs and thanks out of the way. Who do you have to thank for tonight's performance?
Yeah, I look forward to watching the broadcast tomorrow. Always tons of fun. Keeps me busy while I'm at work. So shout out to you guys for putting on a great broadcast. Shout out to all the guys up front tonight. I mean, just really good racing back and forth, clean racing, which was a lot of fun. Everybody at Apex, all the people that come out, and Soto for helping me out this season, and Sky Lounge for hopping on board with GT4 stuff. Just everybody, man. Makes a lot of fun. Nick Velasco out there holding it down for the mid packs. I see he had another fantastic night, which is awesome to see. So Yeah, we'll see what next week brings.
Yes, sir. I cannot wait to see it. That's going to be your winner from race number 2 in the Going Pro division, Brian Lemke.
Thank you.
And man, oh man, what a fantastic overtake that was from Brian Lemke. We're going to switch things up here and go with Christopher Croto, who finished P2 in race 2 for the mid-pack. Larry's Christopher, I believe, is it Croto? Am I saying that correctly? Chris, Mac Nelson up in the booth. You got a copy? Chris has left, it seems. Not entirely sure what that one was about. We'll bring in Jim Feliz next in the number 59 Miata, man. Jim, good points night for you. P2 in both races. However, I'm sure you would have loved to finish on that top step. Kind of walk me through it. What exactly happened?
Yeah, I think some pretty good races in both the heat and the feature. Sometimes in the MX5, just leading into the last lap really isn't the best place to be with the draft. So I think, Soto made a good move there at the end and was able to get back in front of me. So yeah, good racing by him. He just set that up coming out of the Schumacher S's and then got the inside for the following corner, and a little bit of contact there, but nothing too bad. And he was able to hang on to it. The feature, probably could have gone a little better than it did. I think I have to kind of hold my hand up and apologize to Soto on that last one. He caught me a little off guard. I went back and looked at the replay, and he was about 10 miles an hour slower on entry to that corner. So I don't know if he was just trying to create a little room for Brian or if he was just kind of offline. But, I think at the end of the day, he probably had that corner, and I got a little bit too inside of him. So shame about that contact. Sorry to him. Glad to, finish second there. I thought I had a good run on Lemke there at the end, but went down to first and couldn't quite get it back into gear. So he ended up getting a better exit out of the hairpin, but exciting racing all around. And, probably could have done without some of the contact, but overall it was a pretty fun night.
Yeah, now I have to ask, because we saw something extremely similar. It came at the last lap of the last race at Spa-Francorchamps between you and Joshua Soto, and he kind of set it up in the exact way. So, kind of on the back foot of that first question, how you responded. What's it like almost always battling with Soto every single week?
Yeah, well, both those guys, he and Lemke, they work well together, and they're both, they're formidable on track. Both those guys are awfully quick, and, they both have good racecraft as well. I think Lemke's always a very, very clean driver. He's always picking up a lot of bonus points every week. And then, Soto's ability to kind of carve through the field is also pretty impressive. So, yeah, those guys keep it fun. Again, unfortunate we had a little contact tonight, but I think going back to that race at Spa, Soto just got a good draft there and, made a good move into the last corner. I think we both gave each other plenty of room in that instance. And just more instances of fun racing. I'd like to come out on the top step after one of these days, but it's pretty close, and we've been having a good time. So
yeah, without a doubt, and it's been fun watching you, that is for sure. We're gonna let you get out of here and celebrate, but before we do, is there anybody you would like to shout out or thank for tonight's performance?
Yeah, I just want to say hello to my family. They always watch the broadcast and support me. I appreciate it. And I'll give a shout out to all the guys at SRT Esports. They're big supporters as well. And, it's fun to race with those guys too.
Awesome, Jim. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on the results here tonight, and hopefully we speak to you next week at St. Pete.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mac.
That is going to be Jim Feliz. He swept the night with P2s. He got P2 in race 1 and race 2. Now we look forward to talking to race number 1 winner. Unfortunately, not going to win race 2, but it is going to be Joshua Soto in the 07. Joshua, you got a copy?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You had a fantastic race number 1. I called it on the broadcast that it kind of looked very, very similar to the move you pulled at Spa-Francorchamps towards the beginning of the season. Does this track kind of give you the same vibes, same confidence that a track like Spa does?
It definitely shares some similarities. Going down to the I guess you would call it the back straight and then through the chicane. So it's very, very similar. Going down into the final lap there, I was able to make a move in a good spot that we were just able to hang on to. And I mean, it resembles Spa in some ways as well.
Yeah, for sure. Now, unfortunately, race 2 kind of came to an anticlimactic ending for you. You ran in, or not ran into, but there was contact between you and Jim Feliz. Jim, earlier in the interview, he said he kind of has to put his hand up on that one. Is that kind of how you feel about it, or do you think there could have been maybe some things you could have done a little better as well?
Well, going into I guess we could go into what happened in the turn. Going into that turn, I was trying to set up a switchback under Brian. I thought I had enough space, apparently. But I look at the replay and Jim kind of lunged and then just kept on the throttle, kind of. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, I think overall, like the race was pretty decent.
Yeah, I agree. It was all fair, and it was all, kind of just racing deals. Unfortunately, Jim Feliz did kind of, he said he put the hand up. He maybe lunged a little too far there. So, it's stuff like that you're going to see, especially on a high-level grid like the Apex this Mazda Sunday Series. But one more question for you. I got to ask. We head to St. Pete, new track this season on the iRacing official service. Is it somewhere that you're going to enjoy? Have you even tried the track out yet? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. It's a great track. Yeah. St. Pete is a really good track. I was fortunate to actually visit there for one of the MX5 Cup races. So it's very cool to actually see it implemented into iRacing finally. So I was able to race it in iRacing about a couple times, and it races really well.
Yeah,
probably one of my favorite street tracks now.
Yeah, I was going to say without a doubt. And before we let you get out of here, Josh, is there anybody you would like to thank for the performance here tonight?
Oh yeah, I would like to thank first my sponsor, Academy Sim Racing. I would like to thank all the league organizers and admins. I also like to thank the broadcast. You guys do a great job, and I would also like to thank my friends and my family.
Yes, sir. Well, that is obviously good shout-outs. We appreciate the kind words. And Josh, we'll let you get out of here and celebrate, and hopefully we see you back up in the booth at St. Pete.
All right, thank you. See you there.
So that is going to do it for the Apex This Mazda Sunday Series here live from the Nürburgring. We'll take a look at your feature results here. It's going to be Nick Belasco, Christopher Croto, Mark Sherman rounding out your podium for the mid-pack Larrys. Raul Rojas, Harrison Mealy, Pat Wilson, Kenton Bandy, Mike Bond, Kurt Baszler, and Axel Marquez going to round out your grid there. For the Going Pros, Brian Lemke gets the win here in race number 2 with Jim Feliz and Thomas Lathrop rounding out the podium. Roman Bykov in P4. John Cooper gets that top 5. He sits P5. Joshua Soto in P6. Michael Brock P7. Ozzik Silu, Aaron Law, Kelly Greenhoe, Connor Menard, Joseph Mayer, Kevin Zhu, Keegan Gehrig, Justin Back, Michael Tanagretta, Stan Hammonds, Tony Wallace, Charles Wolf, and Shane Stern make your top 20. Well, from everybody at Racer Nexus, We appreciate you guys for coming out. Apex this Mazda Sunday series. Make sure you tune back in Tuesday night to watch the Apex this GT4 series. It will be at St. Pete. So very, very fun stuff there. You won't be hearing my voice as much. Alex Goldschmidt going to be the lead man there, like he always is. Don't worry, I'll be here filling in, pushing the buttons per usual. Not the metaphorical buttons. I really like Alex. I wouldn't push his buttons. I mean the production buttons, man. But that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. From everyone here at Racer Nexus and everyone a part of Apex this, we appreciate you guys coming out, supporting, and being a part of the community. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself and take care of each other. We'll see you in the next one.